Hello, my name is J.J. Jones, and I'm the Area Ag Econ Specialist for the Southeast District of the Oklahoma Cooperative Extension Service, and I'm here today to talk to you about the Livestock Forage Disaster Program, or the LFP. Now, what exactly is the LFP? The LFP is a disaster program that was first authorized in the 2008 Farm Bill and then reauthorized in its current form in the 2014 Farm Bill. This program is administered by the Farm Services Agency, or FSA. This program is meant to compensate producers who have suffered grazing losses due to a qualifying drought and/or wildfire on native or improved pastures. So producers who are running livestock on either native or improved pastures are now eligible to receive a disaster program if a qualifying drought occurs. How to become eligible? First step is the first thing is you have to own the livestock 60 days prior to the qualifying event happening. If that requirement is met, then you also must either run these animals either on owned or leased ground in the county in which the drought or wildfires have occurred. The other requirement is that you also, on the pastures that you have, you also must file acreage reports with the FSA office in order to be eligible for these disaster payments. If you are running animals on leased ground, that leased ground, there must be a lease agreement on file in the FSA office as well. Now, what exactly is a qualifying drought? Qualifying droughts are designated and determined by the U.S. Drought Monitor as published by the National Drought Mitigation Center, which can be found on the internet under droughtmonitor.unl.edu. On the screen, you'll see an example of the Drought Monitor map for the state of Oklahoma on April the 8th, 2014. Notice the varying different colors on the map. Each color represents a different level of drought within the state. White indicates no drought at all, whereas the other colors indicate some different levels, and the levels of drought run from D0 through D4. D0 is yellow on the map, while and it's called an abnormally dry. D1, the beige color, is considered a moderate drought. These two drought levels are not eligible for drought payments. The severe drought, indicated on the orange color, D2, is the first level which qualifies for a drought disaster payment. D3 extreme droughts are indicated by the red color, while D4 exceptional droughts are indicated by the dark maroon color on the map. And again, each level of drought indicates different levels of drought disaster payments. When we talk about qualifying droughts, the different levels in which and the payments that go along with these different levels, this next table shows us exactly what they are. On the table, you'll see that the different levels of drought, and there's 5 levels listed there, and the different payments. Now, the payments are based on per animal unit, so you'll get paid on the number of animals that you have running on your forage ground when the drought occurs. Now, the drought payments are limited to the cannot exceed allowable USDA allowable stocking rates. So if you have 30 animals on a set of acreage and the USDA stocking rate only allows 22, you only get paid up to those 22 animals. All payments are based on what it is estimated to feed a cow for 1 month. All other species of animals are based off that payment calculated for that one cow. As you can see in the table, the first level of payment comes when a D2 or severe drought can persist in a county for 8 consecutive weeks during the growing period for which the type of forage you have on your operation. If a D2 drought persists for 8 weeks, a producer then is eligible for 1 month payment, 1 month per animal. If that at any time during the growing season that drought level reaches D3, then the payment goes to 3 months per animal unit. If that D3 extreme drought occurs any time, 4 different weeks or 4 consecutive weeks during the growing period, then the producer's payments will then go to 4 months payment per animal unit. Or if for any time a drought escalates into the D4 category at any time. To receive 5 months of payment, a drought has to reach D4 four separate weeks or 4 consecutive weeks throughout the growing period. And we'll discuss the growing period here in a second for each forage type. So again, once these drought levels are met, these limits are met, then producers are then eligible for payments. Let's talk about the qualifying forage types. In Oklahoma, so the three main types that are going to be eligible. First off, warm season improved pastures. This would be your Bermuda grass or your Bahia grass. And that growing season for that type of grass is April 15th to November 14th. That means that the drought has to occur between those dates before a producer will be eligible to receive a payment. Also, a producer must have on file the type of warm forage grasses that they have on their operation. If FSA has them down as warm season grasses and a drought occurs during a cool season, they will not be eligible for the payment. The cool season growing period is November 15th to the April 14th. Cool season grasses are your fescues and your ryegrass. The third category, native pasture, follows the same growing season as your warm season improved pastures, April 15th to November 14th. So what animals qualify to receive a drought disaster payment? As stated before, so to the first qualifying aspect of it is the owner must have owned those animals 60 days prior to the disaster. These animals must be used in a farming operation. And the reason why that is important is because animals such as rodeo stock, recreational horses, or show animals are not eligible to receive the drought payment. The other requirement is that these animals must not have been in a feedlot during this time. Now, the species of animals you can see on the list there goes, list. There's 12 entered there. Cattle, goats, sheep, buffalo, pasture poultry, llamas, beefalo, horses, reindeer, deer, elk, and emu. And again, the payment is all based upon the cattle, what it costs to feed the cattle for a month. And then the payment also is calculated, producers are eligible for 60% of that value that's calculated. Now USDA calculates that value on an annual basis and it will change from year to year. But the important thing to remember is the published price, the producer is only eligible for 60% of that published price. So how do I apply? What's the application process for me to receive my drought disaster payment? First of all, the drought limits have to be met as monitored by the U.S. Drought Monitor. Once those conditions have been met, then the local FSA office will announce and let folks know what levels were met and what payments will be available to the producers. Once the FSA office has announced that, producers then have 30 days from the end of that drought year to apply for this disaster payment. What that means is if the drought occurred in 2016, producers have till January 30th, 2017 to apply and go in your local FSA office and apply for those drought disaster payment. When you go to the local office, there's certain bits of information they're going to ask. First of all, physical location of the livestock. They want to know that the livestock was grazed within the county that they're servicing. The other and very important part is your livestock inventory. And for example, for cattle, you'll not only need to know the number of breeding animals, cows and bulls, you'll also need to know the number of calves over 500 pounds and the number of calves under 500 pounds, because these are all used to calculate the payment. But in the instance of goats producers will only have to know the total number of animals on their operation during that time period, so they don't specify between size for the goats. Also, the next thing you're going to have, and stated before, if you're leasing any of the ground, the forage ground that your animals are running on, you must have a signed lease agreement in the local FSA office before you're eligible for that payment. As always, if you have any questions about these disaster programs, this disaster program or any other disaster program, please contact your local Farm Service Agency office or your county OSU Cooperative Extension office. Thank you.